it would distort the whole thing. But now, where we are, that is why even Eurobond, sometimes we get very careful. There is information that we give before, there is information that we have just to give when the transaction is concluded. Because if you give too much information ahead, even to the investors themselves, before the roadshow, if you give too much information, you distort the market. So but all the information on this securitization is available. And if I'm invited to speak to it anytime, I would do that. If my colleague Chirchir, who has this information, he has every information about this, and he would come and appear and explain to you this account, the OC account, that collection account. He would explain the SPV. He would explain the lead arranger, which was the TDB. He would tell you about how much you have raised so far, how much we have disbursed. Yeah, we have paid all contractors who are owed by the government, all road contractors, up to 50 million. We don't have their debts, 100% paid. But anybody beyond 50 million, any contractor, 40%, and we are going to do 50% in the next 3 weeks. I mean another 40% to make it 80. And then by November we want to clear paying all those contractors so that the road construction resume. I think you asked about the fiscal framework. So I have said this is off budget, so it is not coming in our fiscal framework as a debt because it is not a debt. On Senator Omar, again, SOEs, I think I included under strengthening public finance management. I didn't put it as under expenditure reforms, but I talked about government-owned entities. And by the way, there will be a lot of savings, but we have not concluded the exercise. The exercise is slower than we thought, but we are moving. Some of these SOEs were being collapsed, some were merged, some are going to be dissolved, and some are being declassified. Like you find some professional associations classified as parastatals. We are declassifying that. So the process is still ongoing. That's why I can't give the definite figures of how much we are saving. But I'm happy that something that we have been talking about for long, something is being done this time. Finally, on the state-owned enterprises, we are coming up with a government-owned enterprises bill, GOE, which is targeting specifically about 60 parastatals that are commercial by nature, so that their management is changed. Yeah, currently even commercially viable state-owned enterprises, we are managing them like they are non-commercial viable. State-owned enterprises, where even appointments to the boards is political. If I lose my seat today, you lose your seat today. We look for you somewhere and we put you there. And not that you don't have the capacity, but should it be the only decision in forming membership of a board? No. So we are coming up with government-owned enterprises bill, which will come to the Senate, and this bill will now reform the management of the state-owned, commercially viable state-owned enterprises, where even appointment to the boards will be competitively done. And National Treasury, being the shareholder on behalf of the people of Kenya, will now be the one. You don't have a situation where the line ministry appoints board members, Kadha, then National Treasury has some board members. They will be centralized under National Treasury, but the appointment and it will be a competitive process, and will be opening up these government-owned enterprises to private investment and private ideas, as we said about Safaricom and the rest. Let me leave it there, Chair. But Chair, I wanted just to point out that so that this is not lost, we have been doing something to reduce this debt anchor. I know you told me not to respond to Senator Onyonka, but he made a serious allegation like we are stuck. Either we are stuck or rolling back. I mentioned that around 2022.
But yes.
Yeah.
The information you've already shared is with the committee.
Yeah.
There are certain inputs that are playing to public gallery. We want to maintain objectivity. I don't want you to respond to it because I've already directed that it is removed off answered. There's just one follow-up question before I allow you to progress with the other issue.
Thank you, Chair, and that's why we always need the CSCIC. You have a lot of information that is very critical. Just to write on what Senator AC had asked you earlier as far as the issue of this procurement system is concerned, just a comment. You need to ensure that there's a lot of awareness about it. We just got to know about it last week, but when the PPRA DG appeared before this committee in terms of the e-procurement system, Kenyans need to know that is the way. And what you also mentioned about the pension e-system, put so much awareness for Kenyans to know that is the way to go. You have a lot that is just within you. That's why your office and your team needs to see how to bring it up. My question, I wanted to narrow it to what you said earlier, Waziri, in terms of the bonds. We have Talanta Hela bond at 45 billion. RMLF securitization, and my concern is on reporting into the books, because as we speak currently, that has not been done. These are contingent liabilities, and we know very well that contingent liabilities are debts. What is your plan, and what are the risks of not even reporting this to books? Because when I had you make a response when you responded to Senator AC, you talked about that they must be, but you have not done that. Why? And also the cost in terms of the period for this particular bond.
Chair, I hear the concern of Senator Tabitha, the Vice Chair, very well. On well, there is quite a number of securitizations that are lined up. The one that has gone far ahead at 2 now, is the one for the RMLF, and this one of the Talanta, or rather the one for sports, the sports fund, which I would also tell you again that the sports fund, Chair, has been with us for so many years. What has it done? I will just, you all know that the last stadium that was built in this country is Moi International Sports Center, Kasarani, by President Moi, much as we want to demonize that regime. But it is the only one that did 2 national stadia of international standards in this country. We are doing the 3rd now, the Talanta Stadium. So during President Kibaki's time, with all economic management that people praise, not even a single one. Uhuru's 10 years, not even a single one. Yet we have had this sports fund now for a while. Because when you get to the ground, you'll find an MP has gone and agreed to do 50 million in some corner somewhere. That if that 50 million was utilized properly, you would understand. But sometimes it's only used to put a shade in some school field. So we are saying, why can't we use these monies better? We are raising the money. But I want to just correct something. That this is not a loan, neither is it a contingent liability loan. Why? We are creating a special purpose vehicle and selling the right to this vehicle.
It's not a loan, but it's revenue from government. How do you report that? My concern is on how you are reporting it.
Yeah, so I will tell you that I will tell you the reporting. But I was saying, you know, the contingent liability, the liability is sold completely to the special purpose vehicle. That is now the difference between this and a loan or a guarantee. The government is not guaranteeing. What the government is saying, we are selling the right. Once you sell the rights, you have no rights. And you sell the rights and sell the risk. So the risk is sold to SPV. There is no time that if this money is not paid, then now, because there are people who will come and buy this bond, okay? The people who buy this bond, the liability has been, everything else, the risk has been sold to the SPV. So there is nothing that again differs back to government. But in terms of reporting, I will tell you this.
What she's saying is there's some proceeds either way. You know, the objective is to raise money.
Yes.
The concern is how do you capture this for purpose of public information, in terms of reporting. So now continue with it.
We actually will be reporting the annual debts. Yeah, will always be reported. We will always give you these figures, including contingent liabilities. If I may go to that part of the contingent liabilities, including even those that are related to PPPs, because there are contingent liabilities. So there is a reporting that we do every year, and if you go to our system, the website, you will get it. Even this securitization, it is not lost. By the way, I would even report to you today that the collection account, because we haven't issued the bonds yet. If you go to the OC account, the collection account, where the 7 shillings goes today, it has 21 billion shillings in that account, and it is there for Kenyans to see. This 21 billion, up to 20th of June, it was 21 billion. This 21 billion, sorry, someone is talking as I might had my own things. So, you see, the 21 billion is not even paying the debt. It's available for us. And there are roads that have already been lined up, most of them in Nairobi, the eastern side of Nairobi. We are going to do those roads. Look at this road, the expressway here. This expressway, up we are enjoying, down is chaos.
I think, Waziri, I appreciate you are a very good politician and a very good administrator at the same time. Now, I want you to stick to the administration part of it. Let's not divert the question that I'd asked you, because my concern is in regards to reporting, and that has not been done. For these 2 bonds, that has not been done. In terms of trying to explain the importance of these funds, in terms of building these stadiums, in terms of expressway and all that, that is okay, that is fine. I just wanted you to narrow as to why this is public money, this is public revenue, it needs to be reported. And the discussion we are having today here is in regards to death. We just need to be on the same page on that.
But you see, Senator, maybe I was not getting you clearly. I was just trying to find out what exactly could be the miscommunication. You see, Senator, there's this collection account. It's still a government account. Okay? And again, all these reports, the public debt, liability, where we have contingent liabilities, by 30th of September, we have a responsibility to report. And we will report. We'll bring all these reports.
You will, but you have not.
But September, we still have days. Do you want me to bring it earlier, Senator? We can try to work and beat the deadline. Maybe by if you want it by July, interim report, we will. But September 30th, we will. We are required, by the way, by law to report. So all these reports will come out.
You will.
Yes. Okay. Now I'm happy that now I have understood you. Yes. I was struggling.
He just stated something, but
yes,
you've understood that finally.
Very well. Yes. So, Chair, do I move forward at this time? I think it's,
yeah, you go to
page 9.
number 20.
Yeah. Yes, yes. So here, Honorable Chairperson, the stock of public debt as at the end of April 2025.
The delay in response has invalidated that debt. Now you can move it to 30th of June 2025. And just share with us, but at that point in time, we can start, and thereafter we can get an update.
There may be some slight adjustment, but the figure that I have is up to 30th of April.
That's okay. If that other you can give
we can adjust a little, maybe bring it as an addendum. But Honorable Chairperson, the status of public debt was 11.49 trillion, which is 66.9% of GDP as at the end of April. But in present value terms, it's 63.8% of GDP So I think that clarity also needs to come about, and that was already provided in some table. If you check the table that we provided earlier. Now, the public debt comprises of domestic debt is now higher than the external debt. It has always been higher, but is now slightly higher than it has been in terms of percentages. It is 6.16 trillion in terms of domestic debt. External debt is at 5.33 trillion. External debt, as at the end of April, was composed of, out of that 5.33 trillion, 2.94 trillion is multilateral debt, which accounts for 55.26% of our total external debt. And World Bank alone, which is the single largest multilateral lender to Kenya, is at 1.86 trillion, which is 63% of the multilateral debt. So multilateral debt is the highest at 55%. But you know, multilateral is the cheapest debt. So we need even to have more, higher percentage. In terms of bilateral debts, we have 1.1 trillion as at end of April, which is 21% of the total external debt, of which China alone accounts for 652 billion shillings, or 0.652 trillion, which is 59.45% of bilateral debt. And then we have 1.29 in commercial debt, which is usually the most expensive, making up about 24% of our total external debt, with Eurobonds constituting 970 billion shillings, or 75.57% of the commercial debt. Yeah. So that is where we are in terms of external debt. Still having quite a bit in external. Actually, our biggest management of our liability is to get less and lesser on commercial debt. Yeah. On domestic front, out of the 6.16 trillion, 5.02 trillion is in Treasury bond, which represents 81%. That is a long-term bonds, and Treasury bills make 0.95 trillion, or 15.3%. But a small amount of about 190 billion is in other domestic debt, and which includes overdraft from Central Bank of Kenya. You know, we have that facility. And of course, there's this IMF funds on lend to government and bank advances. So we don't treat this IMF funds on lend to government as external debt. We treat it as a domestic debt. And then also some bank advances. So those are the amounts that we owe in terms of numbers as at the end of April 2025.
Waziri, did you say you're treating IMF as domestic?
No, there's the facility that we call funds on lend to government. There are funds that ndugu wewe ndio unadili na hiyo. Utamwambia why this is.
Yeah, maybe Director Doro can explain better, but officially the funds were borrowed by CBK, and then they all lent to Kenya, to the government in Kenya shillings.
Okay.
That's what the reason is domestic. But Doro maybe can explain better.
Doro, you can introduce yourself first, because you are not here when we introduce it, and then you go ahead to explain why that bit is treated as a domestic debt. My name is Daniel Ndolo, Director Debt Policy, National Treasury. When we had turbulences in the external sector, that is balance of payments, imbalances, the IMF lent to Kenya through the central bank. Of course, it is a drawdown on the quota Kenya owns in the IMF capital structure, and once it comes to the central bank to support foreign exchange reserves, the shillings equivalent was on lend. Initially it was 80 billion in total, 80 billion Kenya shillings, and then it was on lend to government, because at the end of the day, the central bank will have to pay, but central bank did not need to spend the money as an entity. So the money was on lent to the National Treasury to support the fiscal requirements and in Kenya shillings. So the debt owed by Treasury to central bank, in our books, it is in Kenya shilling. It is a central bank which has that debt in SDR equivalent in hard currency. Thank you.
Okay, and I believe there's also some aspect of monetary policy in terms of management of the market. Now, I know we are running out of time, but I want you to go straight to for the other issues. We will submit your written submissions as you shared, but I want you to pronounce yourself on record on the issue of Equalization Fund liability. And before I say that, by the way, Honorable CS, we engaged with the Equalization Fund board through the CEO, and last year we said this committee, which is the primary oversight committee of devolved functions and as well as also Equalization Fund to county government, that we need to get a regular report of implementation of Equalization Fund. The last one we got the last financial year. This year we have one report. We've not received from the Equalization Fund board implementation report. The last meeting we've had with your officer, the CEO, was a guidance, because we don't want the Equalization Fund to be in theory, and the Parliament must have visibility in form of oversight. We have not received any report, and we agreed we need to receive quarterly implementation report to keep the implementation of Equalization Fund on track. And we also need to find out whether from you or from your officer why that has not happened, but then address yourself to a letter of commitment that was written by your predecessor upon inquiry by the Senate of arrears compliance plan, and that arrears compliance plan has not worked as written to us. We've written to you to get to find out Equalization Fund implementation sunset clause is fast approaching. We have Equalization Fund administration bill that is stuck at the National Assembly for 2 years, while the arrears stand at 39 billion, and even appropriated fund of equalization in 2024-2025 were not credited to Equalization Fund account, except a small portion that happened. So we need to get to find out, because otherwise this becomes an academic exercise when it comes to implementation of Equalization Fund, and the arrears will continue. So can you tell us how Treasury intends to comply with the arrears? When the sunset clause is fast approaching, and whether or how do you intend to give the Senate a revised